and welcome back to my channel. Today I am super duper extra, but it's also the end of a decade, the end of a year. I've not worn full face of makeup in so many months. I just went all out, but I hope you guys are excited for a new video. Look at my sleeve. I'm excited to film. I've not filmed in a while, so this is very exciting.
Hello?
Make sure to hit subscribe and click the bell next to it to be notified whenever I upload a new video. Today I'm talking about a challenge that I took in the beginning of this year. So I'm talking about my reading challenge. The challenge was 12 months, 12 books. I have not been a regular reader for about 4 years before this, and I thought now that my master's is finished, yes, finally, I thought I want to get back into leisure reading now that I have the time for it. I took a library membership, which they have a huge, amazing library here that also kind of pushed me like, I have the resources, let's just do it. I don't have to buy and hoard books. So I took the library membership and I decided upon taking up the challenge of reading one book every month. I thought one book I can, it's gonna be easy. I used to read like every day when I was in school, but was I wrong? It is a totally different thing to read or leisure read when you're in school versus when you're an adult. You have things to do, places to be, but I had to make it a priority and take time out for it, and I would say it was very enriching. I would definitely want to keep up with it. Yes, at times having a challenge like this was like, oh my god, and I started posting mini reviews on my Instagram, IGTV, so if you would like to have an in-depth quick review of all these books, make sure to check that out, but I will talk a little bit about them here as well. But after posting those, I felt like I was accountable, which none of you were actually asking about it like that, but I just felt like I was accountable and I have to read 12 books now. So sometimes it was like there was a lot of pressure, but it did force me to go out and make sure I read, and I really enjoyed. So let me quickly talk about the 12 books I read this year. I have them written down on my little notepad right here. The first book I read, I actually listened to it, is called How to Sell Yourself. Now this is a very old book, so the things that they talk about were very outdated. I would say it's a passable book. I'm gonna keep it at that because I don't want this video to be a book review. It's basically like what books I picked up if you want to do this challenge next year. The next book is called Ikigai. I actually bought this book. My friend here had it, and first of all it looked very aesthetic, so I wanted to keep it in my house because I feel like the books that have Ikigai is basically how to have a healthy lifestyle. It's about like how these some races, how they live so long in healthy lives. It's about that. So I feel if you have books like this lying around in your home, even seeing them really kind of reminds you of the message of the book. So I just wanted to keep it, have it to keep. When I read it, I have really listened and watched shows about this, so information, a lot of it was not new to me, but it's a good reminder always. It is what got me to do Surya Namaskar every day. I don't do it every day now, but I do it as much as I can, especially after long flights. I think Surya Namaskar is definitely something that we all should definitely practice regularly. Next book was The 5 Love Languages, another good hit. In the beginning of the challenge, I had some good hits which kind of made me want to go forth with it. So The 5 Love Languages, I had heard about it in YouTube videos and all, finally got my hands on it. It's a good book. Some of the ideas in it I felt are sexist, especially in the quiz at the end of the book, which tells you what is your love language. But overall it's a good book to have, a good reminder. It's like a good keeper book, you know, you just keep it in your shelf. Next was A Suitcase and a Spatula, which made me fall in love with experimenting and cooking really. I found 2 good recipes out of it, and I'm very happy. It was a very beautiful book to look at, to cook out of, to read. It was just a great experience. It's written by a blogger, so I would really highly recommend that book if you wanna. That kind of made me fall in love with cooking, so I really enjoy that. Now this next book is where things started to go downhill. It's called The End of Sleep. A passenger actually gave it to me, which is very generous of him. Let me just turn this phone off. This book was very boring, very difficult to get through. This was the first slump that I had in my book challenge because I could not just finish this book. It was so boring, and I thought I cannot let a book just not be finished. I have to finish a book. So I forced myself to read it, which made the reading process be 2 months long if I'm not wrong. It was very boring. I did finish up the book, and in the end it was just a very underwhelming experience. Felt like a wannabe book of The Alchemist. So not really much for me. But after this, I went kind of like, I fell off the thing. I read A Sea of Strangers after this, which is a poem book. I saw the cover and I was intrigued. I wanted to read it. It is a poem book, so I could finish it up in one afternoon and add a book to my list of to read. Rhymes were very different than what I expected, so I don't know, it was a win-win in both ways. I don't know, it was a filler book. The next book that I read after that was The Land of Seven Rivers, which is a very beautiful, informative book. Again, took a long time for me to read because there was so much information to take in. This also went on for 2 months, I feel. And then at the end of it, again, it started to get boring, but I had the same mindset that, oh, I cannot just let this book go, I have to finish it. But I just could not for the life of me, no matter how much I try, finish this book. So I just let it go. I did not read the last 2 chapters. And you know what? I felt okay. In the beginning, I was like, I cannot just leave a book. I'm sorry, my nose is itching. I cannot leave a book in the middle like that. But I felt okay towards the end of it because you know what? I tried. A book did not work out. It's okay to just leave it. It's okay, you don't have to finish every story you start to read. So next up, since this book took so much time, I had another 2 filler books, which were basically coffee table books, but very interesting ones nonetheless. The books are called Speaking in Tongues and Lost in Translations. It's by the same author, and it's a book. So Speaking in Tongues and Lost in Translations, these books are, one is about how in different languages there are wacky words for wacky things. Like in Japanese, there's a word for the first ray of sunlight that comes in. In Hindi, the word was jugaad. You know, those kind of words. It was very interesting to read. So it's not something where you learn I didn't learn it. Of course, I don't remember the words, but it was very interesting and fun to read the book. I love the illustrations she has in the book as well. I'm a big fan of illustrations like that. The other book is about sayings in every language, and that was also very interesting to read. So I really enjoyed reading these books. Again, I finished both books in one afternoon only and added to my list. So it was like hitting 2 birds with a stone. I really enjoyed the little change of not having a heavy book to read, you know. Yeah. Okay. Next up, I've got Bedside Book of Final Words. This is again another book that I could not finish. It's a very thin book, but it's a very depressing book for me. So the Bedside Book of Final Words, basically final words said by great personality. So not only does it has last words of great personalities, it also has great final words of fictional characters or even dictators of the world and stuff. So the last words there, they say how they died. There's a lot of talk about death. Now the writer did say he wrote this book to kind of make the topic of death be normalized. It was, but honestly, I was at the clinic getting myself checked when I was reading this book. I had a health thing happening at that time, and then reading a book about dying did not really make death normalized for me. In fact, it made me more sad. So I just wanted to be done with this book. So I read some of the people whom I found were interesting and then just returned the book. But if anybody is interested in a book like that, or you're interested in the topic of death, just to pick up the book. It's quite interesting. The next book I'm talking about is called Cordially Invited. This is Cordially Invited. It's beautiful. I bought this in the autumn. I read the autumn part in one evening. It was beautiful. It's really nice, and it definitely makes you want to host parties and get-togethers, and it's just, if not, just generally decorate your house. So I really like it. A1. Love it. Now the last book, I hope I did cover 12 books, huh? The last book I recently bought, the book is called Leo, The Art of Living Well and Finding Happiness According to Your Star Sign. I bought this book in was it anthropology? I think so, I'm not sure. I think I bought this in anthropology. This is the book. They had books with different sun signs, and I wanted to keep this book as a decor piece and a collection piece as well to kind of cement my Leo identity in my house. Having this in my house, being like, oh, a Leo lives here. I don't know, I don't believe in this stuff 100%, but it is very intriguing. Sometimes it's true as well, so I really like it. This is the book. It talks about, in the beginning, it talks briefly about what your characteristics are. For example, let me try to get to that book here, like a quick guide to Leo. So it has things like key phrase, your weaknesses, day of the week, top traits. It's just fun to have. And then it talks about different facets of your life, whom you should date, your love matches, your star sign secrets and things like that. So it's just a nice thing to kind of get to know yourself. So would I recommend this challenge? Yes, for sure. It's definitely a life-changing challenge. I got to read so much. Reading really makes sure your imagination is still alive. I really support reading in that way. Definitely gets your eyes out of the screens, and I really highly recommend it. I would definitely be continuing with this challenge. If you would like to see mini in-depth but mini bite-sized reviews of these books, make sure to visit my IGTV. I'll put a link to the whole playlist in my IGTV in the bottom bar below for you to watch. I'm sorry for being so extra. If it was, I don't want it to look tacky, that's all. And yes, I'll see you guys in my next video. Happy 2020 to all of you. Bye bye.